Very good morning to all of you. We are going to start your session now for the unit number 6, Fundamental of Semiconductor Material of B3 subject. Can you tell me that what we discussed in the last session about this unit? What component we discussed in the last session? Can you tell me? Yes, we discussed about the atoms and all the structure of the Bose model. The doping, yes, we discussed about the doping, right? So up to this point, we discussed in the last session. Now today we are going to discuss about the next topic, and that is, you can say that the semiconductor material. And in the last session we discussed that what is semiconductor and how it is, you can say that the crystal structure we can identify for the different material. Now today we are going to discuss here the types of the semiconductors. The example given here, the most commonly used the semiconductor material, that are the silicon and the germanium. And in the semiconductor material we have, there are two types. One is the intrinsic and second one is the extrinsic. And the other types of the extrinsic and intrinsic, you can say that extrinsic semiconductor, it is the p type and n type material. Right now the diagram which shows over here, right, that is the crystal structure of the silicon, and that is indicated with the covalent bond as well as the valence electrons for the silicon. So first of all, tell me how many valence electron we had in the silicon structure. When you draw the silicon atom structure, how many electrons are in the outer orbit? Do you remember what we discussed about that part? So how many electrons we had, which is, we can say that the valence electron. Yes, quickly tell me how many valence electron we identify for the silicon material or silicon atom. Yes, 4. So you can see here there are 4 electrons in the valence that are combined or that are linked with the other electrons, that is we call the covalent bond. So if we going to discuss now more parameters about the same, right now there are some important terms regarding the semiconductor. It is given here, that is, first is the covalent bond. The bonding of the atoms, it is trended by the sharing of the electrons, as the diagram which I show in the previous slide. There are 4 electrons which is shared with the other electrons, and that will bonding a link, that is we call the covalent bond. And then after, we can say that there are two types of the semiconductor we had, that is intrinsic and extrinsic. So the definition given here for the same. So first is, you can say that the intrinsic semiconductor material, and this term you can say that intrinsic, it is applied to any semiconductor material that has been, you can say that, carefully refined to reduce the number of the impurities to the very low level. So you can say that directly that the intrinsic semiconductor materials are almost pure material, we can say that. Yes. So there are impurities, we are going to refine it and we can reduce that number of the impurities, so that we can make the intrinsic semiconductor material just like the previous diagram. In the previous diagram, only the silicon is there, if you see. So this is, you can say that, the example of the intrinsic semiconductor material if you are drawing the crystal structure or crystal lattice structure of the silicon. So this is refined, and you can say that it will reduce the impurities to the very low level. So comparatively, you can say that it is almost a pure material, and that is we call the intrinsic semiconductor material. So this is one of the example given here. Now the second one, the extrinsic semiconductor material, and that is, you can say that, a semiconductor material that has been subjected to the doping process that we already discussed, right, in the last session. So some impurities when you are going to add it with the material, right, so that we can say that the process is doping process to make the extrinsic semiconductor. So this is another definition we had after the intrinsic semiconductor. This is the extrinsic semiconductor. Means if you have silicon structure, and if you are going to put either, you can say that, the boron atom into that structure, that will, we can say that, form of the extrinsic semiconductor material, right? As we discussed the p type and n type material, and that the construction part. So that the process we call the doping process, and that is the material, the final whatever you got, that is, you can say that the extrinsic semiconductor material. So this is about the different terminology. Now we will discuss in detail what is extrinsic semiconductor material and what is the significant parameter of that part. So right now in this diagram, you can see that there is a material with this intrinsic semiconductor where only the silicons are there. You can see in this structure, no other elements you can identify except the silicon. So all over the structure, you can see that with the representation of the silicon structure over here, and that is, we call it is a pure semiconductor material. Now, in this material, you can say that, or to this material, when we provide the DC voltage source here, which is connected the positive terminal here and negative terminal on the other side. So in this pure semiconductor material, just like the we used over here, the silicon structure, we have the number of the electrons in the conduction band and the holes in the we can say that the valence band, they are equal. And in this process, what we can say right now, due to applied voltage or electrical field into this semiconductor material, the electrons are jumping in the conduction band, right? And that will add one conduction electron that will be in the conduction band. So right now in this diagram, when you start to apply the positive terminal over here and negative terminal over here, so what they actually the process is going on, when the electrons are jumped from the conduction band, and that will, you can say that, add one more electrons into the conduction band over here. So the electrons are tried to attract it towards the positive terminal, and they will left the space that is we call the hole, right? When the electrons are jumped from the conduction band or the covalent bond, what we have suggested over here, so that we can say that create a hole in this valence band, and that we can say that attracted towards this negative terminal. You can see the process it is going on here. See, this is one hole, right? So this is the process, you can say that it is move towards the negative terminal, and all the electrons are, you can say that it is going to move in the opposite direction, that is towards the positive terminal. So the representation also given here, that this is our natural phenomenon. And when the electrical field is applied and the electrons are going to be, you can say that, jumped because of the electrical field and the acceleration, so that will create a hole in the valence band. Understood? So this is the process we have right now, and you can see that the amount of the electrons are to be moved, or you can say that it is attracted towards the positive terminal or try to attract in the positive terminal, and the electrons are, sorry, the holes are created over here in each valence band. So that are also to be filled by later on in the electron, right? So this is process is generation of the electrical sorry electron hole pair over here. This is the process. uh, this is one short video I will show you over here. Just a second. A very short video I will show you, and in that one you can understand very well. Okay, so now in this one you can see here, this is the structure. It is represented here with the silicon, and just a second, it is actually buffering right now. And the heat, this is just one example given here. The heat is going to be applied over that the structure, and how it is going to be break the bond. So you can say that the electrons are moved from that valence band to the conduction band and leaving a net positive charge, that is we call the holes. So once the electron will move from the valence band to the conduction band, you can say that there will be hole presented into that valence band. So you can see that the ring type of the structure which is given, and that holes is attracted the neighboring electron, so that hole appears to have moved to the now we can say that the silicon structure, you can see that. So when the electrical field is applied, the electrons is no longer move. You can say that it is randomly. You can say that it is going to be move across the surfaces. So this is just the example given here. Now we will move to the our presentation. These are some according to the material how the carriers are to be there in the intrinsic semiconductor that is given over here. So along with that, the silicon, germanium, or gallium arsenide. So all that having the eccentric carrier. So that is given over here for the parameters in terms of per cubic centimeter. And you can also identify that what is 1 EV for that structure. That means 1 electrical volt, and how much the work it is going to be there. So work is equal to, or the energy is equal to charge multiplication of the potential difference. So for that, you can say that if you are picking any of the charges like 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 10, and if you are considering the potential difference of 1 volt, then you can identify that the work or the energy along with that in terms of joule. So this is just example given over here. If you are taking the any kind of the semiconductor material and the charge, if you are identify, then you can identify how much the energy will be there. So this is just one example given over here for your understanding purpose. Understood? So you can take any of the semiconductor materials, and along with that you can identify how much the energy it is generated for 1 EV, right? Electrical volt. So along with that you can identify if you have a charge of, you can say that if you have a charge of 8, right, in terms of micro, and if you have the voltage of charge 4, then in case that you can say that you will identify 32 around the megajoule. Yeah, you can say that it is 8 micro C. So in that case, you can identify 30 microjoule. So in this way, you can identify the energy. This is just one example given here. So along with that, you can say that you will identify for the other parameters also. So now if we go ahead for the extrinsic semiconductor material, as we discussed that we are doing the doping process, that means some amount of, you can say that we are adding the impurities and into the material, and that is form of the extrinsic semiconductor material. So right now the first sentence said what the extrinsic semiconductor material, it is an impure semiconductor which is formed by, you can say that the intrinsic semiconductor material by adding a small quantity of the impurity atoms, that is we call the dopant. So as we discussed in the intrinsic semiconductor, that is a pure material. But if in the intrinsic semiconductor we are adding some impurities, right, then it is we call the extrinsic semiconductor materials, and that we call the dopant. So right now you can say that in the picture, the area of the Si atom is given. So this is intrinsic semiconductor or extrinsic semiconductor material given in this diagram. Which one is there in this diagram? This is the extrinsic or intrinsic semiconductor given, the structure. You can identify from the electrons, the, the covalent bonding. So it is intrinsic or extrinsic semiconductor given. Can you tell me the diagram given here for the area of Si atom? This is intrinsic given because all the components are representing the silicon component. The process of adding the impurities to the semiconductor crystal, that is we known as the doping, that we already discussed. And right now you can see in the second diagram there is a red color, and if you see in the valence electron, right, they are different compared to the previous diagram. So this is what we have right now, the extrinsic semiconductor. This is the difference you can identify from this picture also. So right now, the gray color, that is the silicon, the dot, it is black colored with the electron, right? The phosphorus with the red color given here, and the boron, that is having the three electrons in the valence, that is given here, and one hole is represented. So this is p-type and n-type structure is also represented in this diagram. And this all is, you can say that it is the extrinsic semiconductor material. Are you getting what I'm telling to you? The first diagram, it is for the intrinsic semiconductor, which is you can say that the pure material or pure semiconductor material. In that one, by the doping process, we are adding some impurities. So we are using the phosphorus, and in the second case, we are using the boron. And based on that, we identify there are two types of the extrinsic semiconductor material, either of P type or N types respectively. Are you getting up to this point? Yes or no? So now if we go ahead, the band diagram. So in this one, as we discussed in the previous part, that so we are going to add some impurities over here with the, we can say that, of very small order of 1 atom per million atom of the pure semiconductor material. So the application of this band theory to the n type and the p type material given over here, with some extra level of, we can say that, the impurities we have added. So right now you can say that the first case in which the low doping process given here, so you can say that the amount of the impurities we have added with the low energy. So in that case, you can say that the how the energy band is going to be represented. So this is our complete structure of, this is full band, right? By the doing of the doping process, you can say that the value, or you can say that the energy level, how it is going to be represented, that is given here. So this is the energy band gap you can identify for the low doping process, right? And over here it is going to be overlap, you can see here in the higher doping. So energy, you can say that when you are impurity band, you have you can say that after the doping you can identify here, right? Then in this case you can say that the amount of the energy which is added over here, and in the first case it is separate out, you can say that, from the full band structure, which is, you can say that, your original or the your intrinsic material you used. Are you getting up to this point? So this is one example given here for your understanding purpose. Now the same thing given here, as we discussed previously, that the extrinsic semiconductor material, there are the two types we are using, the n type material and the p type material. What is n type material? The structure process is given here, that the n type material, you can say that it is created by introducing the impurities element having a 5 valence electrons, that is, you can say that the pentavalent, such as antimony, arsenic, phosphorus. So they have a 5 valence electron, and that is we call the pentavalent. And that type of the material we are going to add into the pure semiconductor material like a silicon. So that the type, we can say that it is the N type of the semiconductor. In the opposite way, you can say that for the P type of the material, in this one, the doping process we are using for the pure germanium or the silicon crystal with the impurity bonds having a 3 valence electrons, such as the boron, gallium, or indium. So in that one, you can say that only 3 electrons are in the valence or the orbit is there. And that's why you can say that it is, we call the P type of the semiconductor material. So that way you can say that it will left the holes in the semiconductor material if you are using the silicon or germanium, because silicon and the germanium having the 4 electrons. So when you add the boron, or you can say the gallium or indium, in that one you have a 3 electrons, or less than, you can say that 4 electrons. So the left process, the place where we are not having the electrons in the bonding, that is creating the hole, and that is the p type of the material. P, that is tends to positive. Understood in this extrinsic semiconductor one? Yes or no? Are you getting or not? Now, this is the example given here with the process. You can say that the p type, the extrinsic semiconductor, as we discussed in the previous part also, the theoretically, that in the impurities, sorry, in the silicon or germanium structure, if we added like the pentavalent material, then you can say that, boron, or you can say that the gallium or the indium material, then you can say that it is the p type of the material. So right now we can say that in the left hand side, the crystal structure given, the silicon bond with the boron, and that will create one hole over here. You can see this process, because in the boron you have only 3 valence electron and silicon having 4 electrons, so that will create one space, and that is we call the holes for the this structure, p type structure. And you can see in the right hand side the diagram represented the process given here. When you are using the p type of the material and when you are giving the supply, right? So in this case, just a second. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Now we are going to discuss here the process of this p type of the semiconductor. So in this semiconductor material, you can see that you will have the structure of the silicon and the boron. Now what will happen over here when you give the supply from the battery, positive terminal and negative terminal? Now you can say that in this case, when you give the supply, the positive terminal here and negative terminal here, so what will happen that all the positive terminal, respectively the holes having a positive terminal, so that will repel from the that valence electron, and that will be attracted towards the negative terminal. Similarly, when the electrons are passing through this, or when you consider from the negative terminals, are going to be repel that electrons from that bond, and that will attract it towards the positive terminal. So you can say that the free electrons, which is the minority carrier of this point, right, it will be moved towards the positive terminal, and the holes of this bond, it is going to be, you can say that, traveling towards the negative terminal. So right now, whatever the flow of the process you can see here, which is shows over here the direction of the flow of, you can say that, the electrons, which is represented with this diagram also. And this is how it is going to be, you can say that, consider that the conventional direction of the current flow, or you can say that the flow of the direction of the flow of electron. So this is the process we have adopted, you can say that, consider over here for the p type of the extrinsic semiconductor material. Now this is what the structure given here with the silicon and the boron. You can say that you have a one void over here. You can say there is no electron over here. This is what we call the void, and that will create a holes, actually the positive polarity. So if you have a insufficient number of the electrons to complete the covalent bond, that is, you can say that the vacancy which is provided over here because of that hole, and that you can see that it is represented over here with the red circle in this diagram, or you can represent it with the plus sign also. When the electrons are absent, you can represent with the plus sign that will indicating the holes. So this is possible when you are using the atoms of the boron, and that is what we call the acceptor atom. This is the atom what we call the acceptor atom, because right now you can see that you have one electron which is misplaced over here. You can see that it is going to be considered the plus sign here. That is for the hole. So this is what we call the acceptor ions or acceptor atom. So this is one of the parameter given here for the p type of the semiconductor material. And now for the n type of the semiconductor material, you can see in this n type of the semiconductor material, the silicon, the pure, you can say that, or intrinsic semiconductor material, which is going to be doped by the, right now, the phosphorus atom. Right now in the phosphorus atom, in the valence electron, you will have 5 electrons. So you can say that you will have an excess of electron here, which is free electron right now, because all the other fours having the covalent bond structure here, and that will creating the link sharing of the electron. So right now this is our free electron structure given here. Now you can see the same process what we discussed, but right now in the previous part you can see that this is our p type of structure, and now we are going to discuss here about the n type of the structure. So right now we can say that again the positive terminology you will supposed to assume over here, negative terminal over here as per the battery connection. So all the electrons, we can say that it is going to be attracted toward the positive terminal, and the holes are, we can say that, which is now it is the minority carrier, that is, you can say that it is going towards the negative terminal. So free electrons are going to be traveling, and along with that you can see that the direction of the flow given here of for the electron, right? So this is what we have right now, the n type of the semiconductor material. Right now we can see that in the p type of the material, the free electrons are the minority carrier and the majority carriers are the holes. But in the n type of the material, the minority carrier are the holes and the majority carriers are to be free electrons. So this is the process, we can say that it will be, we can consider over here for the n type of the semiconductor material. Now you can see the structure over here, the crystal lattice structure, in which the silicons are to be added with the phosphorus, right? So right now the diffused of the impurities with the 5 valence electrons over here, which is we call the donor atom, because you have one excess or fifth valence electrons over here. So that is we call the donor atoms. So this fifth electrons, we can say that it is freely, now it is moving into the n type of the material, and this the free electrons what we have right now, it is added, you can say that the atoms having the higher energy level, and that will require the less energy level for the conduction band. So already you have the 4 electron band or the covalent band structure over here. Only one free electrons which is going to be traveling into the n type of the material, that is going to be represented over here. That is shown by this diagram also. So whatever the you can see the energy band diagram, if you see in the previous part, what we discussed in that one also, you can say that in the n type of the materials, you can say that the higher energy level you can represent it, right? And that will require the less energy for the conduction band. But in the p type of the material, you will identify the less energy which is provided by the hole. That is one to shows over here in this presentation also. So are you understand now p type and n type material, its process as well as the lattice structure diagram? Are you understand up to this point? Okay, now this is one example given here about the donor or n type of the material. This is what we have, the conduction band. This is what we have, the valence band. And you can see that the electrons are to be traveling from the valence band to the conduction band. And you can say that the energy level which is specified here for this donor energy level in between this conduction band. This is what we have right now in centric material, in which you can say that the electrons are to be traveling. So this is shows over here the energy level structure. And this shows over here the energy level for the eccentric material. So now I think this is understandable to you, right? Yes or no? Okay, so now if we go further, in the p-type and n-type, the majority carrier and the minority carrier, as in the process we already discussed, but we can see with the different structure over here. If you talk about the majority carrier, so the majority carrier in the n-type materials are the electrons, right? Because we have five valence electrons we used, or that atom or the material we are using in the n type of the material. So the electrons are the majority, but we can say that the in the p type of the material, the majority carriers are to be holes, like the boron. Now in the minority case, the minority carrier in the n type of the materials are to be hole. And similarly, you can say that the minority carriers in the p type of the materials are to be electrons. So you can say that in this diagram also it is represented for the n type and the p type of the material. You can see in the first diagram the electrons component are represented more, that is the majority carrier, and the minority carriers are to be, you can say that, the holes with the positive sign. And that you can say that the combination, or you can say that the representation given here of this thing, of, you can say that this one, it is we call the donor ions. Similarly, you can see that in the other diagram for the p type of the structure, in case uh, the minority carrier to be the electron and the majority carrier to be the holes, and in that case the acceptors ions to be there. So these two things you have to remember. In the p type of the materials, the acceptors ion to be there. There will be a less, you can say that, the electrons or the minority carriers to be there. And in the case of n type of the materials, the extra electrons, or you can say that the electrons, free electrons are to be there, and that you can say that it is the donor. So this is the case we have right for the p type and the n type of the material. And the next and the last thing, that is, you can say that the electron versus the hole flow. In this picture it is represented that how the electrons are to be moved against, you can say that, the holes. So if the valence electrons are require sufficient kinetic energy to break its covalent bond and fill the void created by the hole, then the vacancy or the hole will be created in the covalent bond that release the electrons. So that you can see here the one by one process, that right now the silicones having a 4 electrons and the boron having a 3 valence electron. So if the space, you can say that the electrons are to be moved over here, the holes are to be move over here. In the second process, you can say that the holes are to be moved in this direction from, you can say that, right to left, but the electrons are to be moved and place their position from left to right. So this process is continuous, right? This process is going to be continuous one. This is one just structure over here given of one covalent bond and the valence band. But you can say that this process is continue when you have the full structure of this silicon and the boron component. Are you understand in this case how the structure one by one is given here? So you can say that whatever the energy it is required for that valence electrons, right, it will break the covalent bond that is going to be filled with the void, or you can say that the holes, and that will, you can say that it is going to be released from the electrons are to be releasing from the covalent bond that will place by the holes, and this process is going to be continuous. So this is a first step, this is second step, and this is third step. So now you can see the direction of the hole which is traveling from right to left, and the electrons are to be placed in the position of the holes from right left to right. So this is, we can say that the whole flow and the electron flow direction shows over here with this diagram. Are you understand up to this point? Is there any question from this? Okay, so with this, we end this chapter over here, unit number 6, right? This was the our last topic of the unit number 6. Now we are going to start with the another chapter right now. Just a second, I will share the screen with you. So now we are going to start with the unit number 8, that is the bipolar junction transistors. Have you heard about this transistor or bipolar junction transistor earlier? This is the first time you have heard about this thing. Do you know about the transistor or not? Anything? This is the first time you have heard about the transistor. Okay, first time you have heard. Okay, no problem. I will start with the very basic parameter. First of all, start with the introduction part. In that one, I will show you that the history of the BJT, that is we call the bipolar junction transistor invention. Then after, we are going to discuss about the types and the symbols or the construction of the BJT. That then after, we'll discuss about the basic operation of the BJT. There are different types of the configuration we had of the BJT, like common base, common emitter, common collector. Then after, we'll see each of the input and output characteristics of this case, like the common base, common emitter, and common collector. And then after, we'll see about the application. So this is our outline of, we can say that the topics we need to consider over here as per the syllabus given. The basic structure will start with that, and first of all, we can see that the history of the BJT. So the transistor, you can say that that was invented by a team of 3 scientists at the Bell Laboratory in USA in 1947. So the first transistors was not a bipolar junction device, yet it was beginning of the technological revolution that is still continuing in the 21st century. And that you can say that, yeah, something if you want to invent it, it is not like in the first time you will get the perfect result. So year by year, when the technology, you can say that revolutions are to be there, that the device, you can say that it will make the perfect one, but that will take some time. Right now in the our situation, whatever the system we have adopted of the electronic devices or complex electronic devices, so that system we are going to be equipped with this type of the devices like the BJT. So whatever the system we have developed right now, or right now in the today's situation we are using, they are, we can say that, used with this type of the semiconductor devices. Earlier you can say that, yeah, we are using, but they are having some plus or minus, you can say that the error will be there. So that you can say that year by year when the research is going on, and that error is going to be neutralized. So then after you can say that you will make the perfect devices for this type of the application. So you just remember about the BJT, in which year it is invented, and what are the revolutions we are going to taking, that we are going to discuss one by one in the each topic. So this is, now you can say that the introduction part. The first of all, understand the types of the BJT. But the first thing you have to understand here, that the transistors, whatever we use right now in the our today's situation, we have used with the two PN junction. You all know about the PN, right? P and N, N type of the material and the P type of the material. So if the we are doing the junction of the P and junction, right, and that we can say that it is going to be formed by the sandwich structure of either P type or the N type of the semiconductors. So you already know about the PN junction, right? So this thing, it is going to be just advanced one of that junction diode. Now we are having the sandwich structure of the PN structure or the N type of the semiconductor material, and that we are going to pair over here based on the structure combination. So right now there are basic type, you can say that, about the transistor, that is we known as the bipolar junction transistor and the field effect transistor. But in the BJT we have further classification that we are, that I'm going to show you also. But this is what we commonly use, the basic structure of the transistors in the today's situation, that is the BJT and FET, bipolar junction transistor and field effect transistor. Right now in your syllabus we can say that in the transistor part we are going to study about the bipolar junction transistor only, and its construction and the operating principle of operating characteristics. So if we go for the next part, as I told you that we are going to focus only the BJT right now as per the content. So in the BJT, you can say that you have a broad, two broad area for the electronics devices or the comparison point of view or application point of view. The first one given here, that is, you can say that you can use as a linear amplifier circuit to boost an electrical signal. That is the first purpose of the BJT. And the second one, that you can use as a electronic switch. So either you go for the amplification purpose or you can go for the switch. So there are two applications, or you can say that the area in which we are using this type of the BJT in the electronic circuits. Understood? So this is the just a basic introduction given here for the transistors. And just remember that there are two types of the transistor we use in the practical circuit, BJT and FET. But right now, as per the syllabus point of view, we are going to just study about the BJT circuit and how the characteristics is going to be operate. So the BJT, you should understand that it is going to be used in the two areas of the electronic circuit. One is the amplification purpose. So you will get the linear amplifier and to boost, and you can say that the electrical signal. The second one, you can say that it is the switching purpose. So there are two applications given here according to the area wise. Now, if we go ahead, as we say that we have the junction of PN and we are going to do the sandwich structure of either P structure or the N type of the semiconductor. So right now in the first sentence also made over here that the NPN transistor, right? It is the composition of the two N type of the semiconductors material, which is separated by the thin section of P type material. You can see in the first diagram, in which you can say that on both the side, left hand side and right hand side, you have N type of the semiconductor, and in between you can say that there is a thin layer of the P type of the structure we used. So this is NPN transistor we call. Just remember the name. What is NPN, right? And the second one you can see in the second diagram, that is PNP transistor. So in that case also there are two P type of the semiconductor material we used on both the side, and the sandwich structure with the thin layer of the P type of the, sorry, N type of the semiconductor. So either you use the first one or you will use the second one, that is based on the characteristics what you need to what you need to obtain. So this is just the basic given here for the BJT and its construction, right? And the symbols also represented over here for the NPN and PNP transistors. So this sandwich structure of the P type and in the N type structure will make the transistor, right? So there are some points you have to remember about this construction given here. The first point, that there are two PN junction we use, as I already mentioned, and the transistors may be regarded as the combination of two diodes connected back to back. So we are using the PN junction diode, right? So either you can say that you will use the PN junction diode of two quantities to form the NPN or PNP transistors. So that will identify based on your circuit connections electrically. The second one, there are three terminals of these devices. You can say that one taken from each type of the semiconductors. That means in the first diagram, you will have a two terminal from the N type of the semiconductor respectively, and one from the P type of the material. Similarly, you can see from the second diagram also. So there are three terminals we can brought out over here for the terminal connection from each type of the semiconductor section. And the third point, the middle section is very thin layer. This is most important factor in the function of the transistor. So as we directed over here in the diagram also, the thin layer structure for the N type of the material and P type of the material in this case of NPN and PNP transistors. So the layer of that structure will be very thin. So you can imagine that the value, or you can say that the device material what we are using of the quantity you can use with the P type and N type of the material when we are going to connect to PN junction material. So this is one of the case and the types. We can say that the construction given here for the BJT of the types of NPN and PNP transistors. So are you understand up to this point? Yes or no? Are you getting or not? Okay. So now if you go ahead for the specific case, so in this case, you can see as per our discussion we had in the previous slide, there are two types of the structure we have used, NPN and PNP. And I said that in that one that there are three terminals we have to brought out from this connection, from this three section. So transistors, we have the three section of the doped semiconductor material, N type and P type. So one section on the left hand side, you can say that it is going to be called as the emitter. The second section, you can say that it is the opposite side in that one, that is the collector. And the middle structure, that is be known as the base. So that will form the two junction between the emitter and the collector. So that way you can say that the base will divide, or it will say that there are two junction which is connected with that base of the emitter and the collector respectively. Now, as we noted the diagram here, that in this diagram, you can say that the first one, you can say that from the left hand side, you can say that it is emitter. Second one, the middle structure, middle section is your base, and the right hand side you have, that is the collector. Now, if you go for the specific case like the emitter given here, what is emitter? That the parameter given here in the sentence form also. You can see in the parallel with the diagram also, that you can understand very well. So on the section on the one side, the left hand side that is given here, that will supply the charge carrier of electrons or the hole. That is we call the emitter. So that will supply the charge carriers. Either you can say that in the form of electrons or the hole. That is we call the emitter. So this emitter is always forward bias with respect to base. That you have to remember. If you consider base is your, you can say that the common reference between the emitter and the collector. So if you consider the emitter section with respect to, we can say that the base, then it is always be the forward bias condition. So that you can say that it can supply the large number of the majority carriers in this case. And in this figure, you can say that the first diagram which shows over here, the PNP transistor, the emitter of this PNP transistor, you can say that it is in the forward bias case, and it will supply the whole charges to its junction. So this is why we are saying that, because it is connected with the positive terminal here. You can see here the positive terminal we have connected right here. And this is of P, that is of holes. So you can say that the majority carriers are to be there, a large number of the majority carriers to be supplied over here when we connected this P type of the junction with the positive terminal of the battery. And similarly, you can see that in the second diagram, we are connecting the negative terminal right over here with the N type of the material. That is, we can say that it is the majority carrier of the electrons to be supplied over here. So this is also the forward bias case, but right now you can supply the free electrons to the junction with the base. That is, you can say that in that one, the majority carriers to be your electrons. Are you getting? The same case if you consider for the another condition like the collector case. So this is as per the connection, you can say that it is in the reverse bias condition right now. This is for the reverse bias condition, you are connecting the positive terminal to the N type of the material. So this is just the example given here, and we will see that how the structure and the difference with the emitter and the base is going to be there, and that we will discuss in your next session. Okay, so I think this is enough for today. Just remember up to this point about the emitter we discussed right now. Now I will share with you the link for the attendance purpose, right? So I will share the link with you and you can fill that form quickly. So I will get your attendance directly from that form. So now everybody, you can find out the link which I already pasted into the chat box section and quickly fill this form. Okay. Okay, so I will end the meeting here for all.